phishing attacks which are there, which are being executed nowadays. And these are some of the countermeasures which we can take against phishing attacks which are aimed at us. So we should always check the email source, and we should check the from field inside the email. We should check where it is coming from. So if you are getting in email inside your mailbox which claims to be from the income tax department, but the email itself is from maybe some random name at the rate of emailer.net. So something like this will always be a red flag, because if it is from a genuine source, you'll see the domain name of the website inside the email from field. Then it's always advisable to not to click on the links inside emails like this. And instead of clicking on the emails, you should just hover on the link which you have received, and you will at the bottom of your browser, you'll be able to see the actual link which you will visit once you click on that link. So it's always best to copy that link by right clicking and then pasting it inside the browser's address bar and then visiting instead of directly clicking it. And then the last thing is that we should avoid filling up forms inside emails. So like Google Forms and other fields, there are other kinds of forms which could be sent into you via emails, and then they'll be asking some confidential information. So it's always best to avoid filling up any information in such email forms. Then we'll talk about malicious attachments. So just like phishing, these mails will actually appear to come from some place, and then they will have some malicious attachment, which could be of any type, like PDF, doc files, and then executables, zip files. When you download and double click on these files, it will actually compromise your system, and your data will be taken to the attacker, or your system might start behaving unexpectedly. So such emails also have a sense of urgency to them. For example, you can see in this particular email, it says that please find attached an urgent message from Joint Secretary on the above mentioned subject. So you'll receive an email from one of your superiors. It will appear to be from one of your superiors, and it will ask you to click on the attachment. But it's always best to make sure that whenever you receive such an email, you should be knowing about it. And if you're expecting such an email, you should directly click on it. Otherwise, you should first confirm where the email is actually coming from. Only then you should download and click on the attachments inside such emails. So next kind of social engineering attack is basically honey trapping. And honey trapping means that somebody will send some random person will actually send you a friend request on one of your social media profiles, and they'll try to befriend you. And once you start talking, they'll start sending you some installers to some other messengers and to some other good application. And they'll be very persuasive about it, and they'll start telling you that you should install this application. It's really good. But once you install that application, it is actually going to compromise your system. So you should it's best to actually avoid installing any unknown applications on your system unless you know the source and you trust the person absolutely. So before moving on to the next question, we'll just see if we have any questions inside the chat box. So we don't have any questions yet. Nareshji, I'm moving on to the next module. Yeah, so I don't think there are any questions. Yes. So the next module is how to stay safe on the web, and these are some basic countermeasures that any layman can actually take for staying safe on the web. And the first thing I'm starting with is called self-audit, which means that you should actually search your own name on Google or Bing or any other search provider. And you can actually try to search for your name by putting it inside double quotes. And then you can look for all the information which is available on the web. And in most cases, you'll actually be surprised to look at all the information that is available publicly, which is available unintentionally and without your knowledge. Another tip is to look inside the images page of the search engine, and you'll see a lot of photographs if you use Facebook or if you use Instagram and any other social media network. So this is the first thing, and you can try to do this basic step, and then you can evaluate all the private information which is available, and you can remove any such information if it is possible. Then then it is always advisable to actually go through your social media profiles from time and again to make sure that you have not shared any photos or posts which include any of your personal information, which could include your addresses or your phone numbers or any details about your family members. So just go through all the photos and through all the posts that you have shared and check if there is any information which should not be there. And it's always also advisable to actually go through your friend list on your Facebook account to make sure that you don't have any unknown people inside your friend list. Then the security settings also keep changing on all these social media websites, and you should go through these once in a while, so that you know that if there is any new security setting which is there and which can actually help you protect your account further, then you can change your settings accordingly. Then next point is that we need to make sure that we don't sign in on any untrusted systems. It's always advisable to have one machine which you own, and then you should always sign into all your email accounts and your bank accounts from the same machine. And if even if you have to sign in from some unknown device or from some untrusted device, then it's best to actually use it's best to actually use the incognito or the private mode in the browser. When you close this particular window, then automatically you're signed out from your account. So almost all browsers nowadays have this particular feature of in private or incognito mode, wherein automatically your cookies are cleared and you are signed out from your account wherever you sign in. And then every bit of your data is important, so you need to make sure that even your Aadhaar card, your phone number, your address, everything can actually be misused by an attacker by collecting a lot of information over time. And then it's always good to actually disable autoplay inside USB drives inside your laptop. And if you have an antivirus, just scan your USB drives whenever you connect to your machine. And the last point is that you should maintain multiple online identities for different purposes, which means that you should keep all your office communications and your personal communications in separate email accounts. This is just a best practice, so that even if your personal email account is compromised, your office communications remain secure. Then moving on to the next slide, you can see that nowadays most of the browsers, whenever you go to any particular website, there will be a lock icon which will be visible on the left side of the address bar if the website is actually having HTTPS enabled. It will say that the website is secure and all your communications with the website is encrypted. And in some cases, you'll notice that some of the websites are actually still running on HTTP. And in these cases, the browser will actually say that the communication is not secure. So you should avoid signing in onto any of such websites which run on HTTP, because whatever information, including your login ID and password you're sending to that website, it is going there unencrypted, and anyone sitting in between on any of the systems wherever your information is traveling through can actually access that information and read it in plain text. So this is an example of how the website looks when it has HTTPS enabled, and you can safely sign into such websites because your passwords are actually sent encrypted across the network to such websites. Then these are some examples of links of again sort of honey trapping, and there will be a website which will give you some kind of some lucrative offer or some tagline or some news which will be very sensational, and when you click on that, you will be redirected to a fake website where they will try to steal your information. So it's best to stay away from such websites and clicking on any random links on that you see on the web. Then I think this is the last slide, and some of the important points are that you need to keep changing your passwords regularly, and whatever passwords you're using, they should not be reused for any other account. You should keep unique passwords, and most of the websites nowadays mandate this, so you should have uppercase, lowercase, and numbers and different other special characters inside your passwords. Um, if you find it difficult to actually remember all your passwords, there are some good password managers which you can use. Uh, some of these are listed here, and you can actually find out more by searching on the web. And the last point is that you should implement two-factor authentication wherever it is possible. So two-factor means that there will be two separate informations which will be taken from you while signing you into your account. One of them would be your password, and then the second could be an OTP, or it could be any other separate password which could be there with you, which could be shared by you with you by the company, which whoever wherever you're trying to sign into. So as an example, you might have seen that at least in SBI, there are different passwords for different purposes. That is a basic example of two-factor authentication. And even in Gmail nowadays, there is two-factor authentication. So you can enable that by going inside your settings. So once you enter your Gmail ID and your password, it will ask you for an OTP, which will be sent onto your mobile device. And once you enter both of these things, only then you will be able to log into your account. So these are some basic best practices, and that is actually the end of the presentation. So we can open it for questions now. Naresh ji,